What if I told you that a forbidden book could contain humanity's best-kept secret, a text so dangerous that it was erased from history by the Vatican itself? The Book of Enoch speaks of fallen angels' forbidden secrets and a hidden destiny for mankind. But why was it banned? And why are its contents coming back to haunt the world now? What we're about to reveal could change everything you believe. Chapter 1. The Forbidden Book that defies the Vatican. Imagine a book so powerful that it was erased. From history knowledge so profound and disturbing that the world's most influential institution did everything it could to silence it. For centuries, this manuscript was considered dangerous, kept away from public hands, buried in carefully planned darkness. But now this secret is resurfacing. The Book of Enoch, an ancient text that describes the interaction between humans and celestial beings, is once again attracting attention, and not by chance. It contains secrets that could shake the foundations of faith science and the very understanding of reality. What doesn't the Vatican want you to know? Why was this book removed from the Bible, and what is in it that could change everything we know about good, evil, and the origin of humanity? These are questions that few dare to ask. But those who begin this journey hardly ever see the world the same way again. The Book of Enoch recounts events that challenge the traditional version of creation, describing a time when fallen angels descended to earth, interacted with humans, and taught forbidden secrets. This knowledge not only changed humanity, but created hybrid beings, the Nephilim giants who dominated the earth before the flood. Now, for an even more disturbing detail, this is not just an ancient myth. Fragments of the Book of Enoch have been found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, proving that it was widely read and respected by ancient civilizations. But why was this book excluded from the sacred texts? The answer may lie in the devastating impact its revelations would have on the power structure of the Church. Chapter 2. The Secret of the Fallen Angels and the Rise of the Nephilim. In a remote time when heaven and earth seemed more connected than today, something unexpected happened. A group of angels called the Watchers were given the mission of observing humanity, but instead of just watching, these beings began to interfere. The Book of Enoch describes in detail how these angels descended into the world of men, attracted by the beauty of human women. They broke the divine rules and united with them, generating a hybrid lineage, the Nephilim. The Nephilim were not only giants in size. According to the forbidden text, they possessed superhuman abilities, uncanny strength, and knowledge beyond human comprehension. These creatures quickly took control of the world, spreading destruction and establishing a brutal domination over humans. But the real danger lay in the teachings brought by the fallen angels. The Watchers passed on forbidden knowledge to humanity. Secrets about astronomy, metallurgy, and even magic were passed on to men, forever altering the course of civilization. Azazel, one of the main fallen angels, taught the art of war, the manufacture of weapons, and the manipulation of metals. Others revealed how to read the stars, invoke spirits, and develop sorcery. The result, humanity collapsed morally and spiritually, with cities becoming centers of unprecedented corruption and violence. The story of the Nephilim cannot be ignored as just a legend. Accounts of giants appear in various cultures around the world. The Greeks speak of titans. The Celts tell stories about colossal beings. The indigenous peoples of North America speak of giant warriors who dominated their lands. Could all this be mere chance? Or are we dealing with scattered fragments of an ancient truth deliberately concealed by time? But there is something even more disturbing. The Book of Enoch suggests that the presence of the fallen angels and the Nephilim was so destructive to the world that the Creator himself decided to intervene. The flood, according to this forbidden text, was not just a punishment for humanity's corruption. It was a necessary event to eradicate these hybrid beings. God decreed the destruction of the Nephilim and imprisoned the Watchers in the depths of the earth, where they await the day of final judgment. Now, if this is just a myth, why has the Church taken such pains to erase this story? What's so dangerous about this account that it required its removal from the sacred texts? And more importantly, have the Watchers really disappeared, or do they still exert some influence in the modern world? Chapter 3. The Vigilantes' Trial and the Vatican's Fear. The Book of Enoch not only exposes the origin of the Nephilim and the sins of the fallen angels, but also describes the final fate of these beings. After their rebellion, God ordered the Watchers to be imprisoned in deep caves where they would await the day of the great judgment. This punishment was not limited to them alone. Their children, the Nephilim, when destroyed, had their spirits condemned to wander the world, becoming evil entities that would torment humanity until the end of time. This detail can explain a lot about popular beliefs in demons and obsessive spirits. If the Nephilim were indeed hybrid beings with no place in heaven or on earth, what happened to their souls? Could they be the same spirits that today are known to torment the living? This would explain why many traditions describe invisible beings who feed on fear and human energy, always seeking to influence humanity. But there is an even more sinister aspect to this story. Enoch, according to the book, was no mere prophet. He was taken to heaven and given access to forbidden secrets about the structure of the universe, the fate of souls, and the end of time. His visions detail a final judgment in which the Watchers and their creations would be annihilated forever. And here comes the most disturbing detail. According to some scholars, these events could be closer than we think. In recent years, we have seen an exponential increase in conflicts, natural disasters, and spiritual crises. Could all this be a sign that the days of judgment described by Enoch are approaching? Some believe that the return of this book to public light is no coincidence. It was erased from history because its message was too dangerous to be known. But now, as evidence of its veracity begins to accumulate, it has resurfaced as a final warning. The Vatican has always had access to texts and records that the public has never known about. What else could be hidden inside the Church's secret archives? Why would religious leaders be so afraid of a text that is supposedly nothing more than an ancient fiction? The truth may be even more disturbing than we realize. What if the knowledge contained in the Book of Enoch was not just an account of the past, but a warning for the future? If the Watchers were punished before what would prevent something similar from happening again in a hidden way, away from the public eye, what would happen if these forbidden secrets were discovered again? These are questions that remain unanswered. But one thing is certain: once you know the forbidden history of the Book of Enoch, you will never see the world the same way again. Did you already know the Book of Enoch? What did you think of it so far? Let me know in the comments. Chapter 4. The Truth, hidden in the Vatican's secret archives. If the Book of Enoch was so important to the early Christians, why has it been erased from history? What was so dangerous about it that the most powerful institution in the Christian faith excluded it from the biblical canon? The answer may lie in the Vatican's most secret corridors, where ancient texts, forgotten prophecies, and forbidden records remain inaccessible to the public. For centuries, the Vatican has been the guardian of historical documents that could rewrite the way we see humanity, spirituality, and the history of the earth itself. Some believe that among these records, there is evidence of the existence of the Watchers, the Nephilim, and interactions between celestial beings and humans. The Vatican's fear is not about the authenticity of the Book of Enoch, but about the impact that this knowledge would have if it were made known to the world. If the fallen angels really did pass on forbidden knowledge to humanity and were responsible for creating a hybrid race, then the whole creation narrative changes. This doesn't just mean a theological shift, it means the destruction of centuries of control over faith and spirituality. The Church has always positioned itself as the mediator between God and man. But what if we discovered that humanity has had direct contact with celestial entities even before Christianity existed? Some of the most disturbing questions are beginning to emerge. What is in the Vatican's secret archives that has never been revealed to the public? Are there texts that confirm that the events described in the Book of Enoch really happened? And more importantly, have the Watchers really been imprisoned, or could they still be influencing the world? If we take into account the evidence found in ancient texts from different cultures, we can notice a disturbing coincidence. The Sumerians, for example, spoke of the Anunnakis gods, who came down from the heavens and taught humans forbidden secrets. The Greeks told of the rebellion of the Titans, hybrid beings, who defied the gods and were imprisoned. Hindu texts describe the Devas and Asuras, powerful entities who interfered in the evolution of humanity. All these stories sound like alternative versions of what was described in the Book of Enoch. If this connection is true, then what the Vatican really fears is not just the revelation of a lost text. What they don't want the world to know is that the forbidden knowledge of the fallen angels may still be alive, hidden in ancient traditions, waiting to be rediscovered. Now, an even more disturbing question: what if the Church not only hid this information, but also used it to maintain control over human spirituality? Chapter 5. The Prophecies of Enoch and the End Times. The Book of Enoch doesn't just talk about the past. His prophecies detail an event that is yet to come, a great judgment that will take place at the end of time. Enoch describes terrifying visions of a world plunged into chaos, dominated by evil forces and corrupted by forbidden knowledge. According to his prophecies, the Watchers have not been destroyed. They have been imprisoned and are waiting for the right moment to return. They would be released at the end of time, bringing with them the same forbidden knowledge that corrupted humanity in the past. But that's not the only alarming revelation. Enoch speaks of a period of tribulation in which the world would face unprecedented spiritual warfare. He describes events that eerily resemble what we are experiencing today: endless conflicts, increasingly intense natural disasters, the rise of manipulative leaders, and a growing rejection of true spirituality. Prophecy suggests that before the final judgment, humanity would be divided. Some would choose to follow the truth, seeking the spiritual path to reconnect with the divine essence. Others would be seduced by the deception of the Watchers, accepting their forbidden knowledge and turning away from the Creator. This raises a question that few dare to ask. Are we living in this moment now? Are we facing a new rise of forbidden knowledge? If the secrets of the Watchers have begun to resurface, does this mean that the end times are closer than we think? One of the most disturbing parts of the Book of Enoch is its description of the final judgment. It speaks of entities that rule the world from the shadows, influencing politics, economics, and even religions. These forces have their roots in the forbidden teachings of the fallen angels and are preparing the world for their return. But Enoch also brings a message of hope. He talks about those who would resist this knowledge, who would remain faithful to the true light, and would not be deceived by the Watchers' promises of power and wisdom. He describes a spiritual battle in which the righteous would be protected and guided by the true Creator, while those who accepted the forbidden teachings would face their destruction. Now see how these prophecies resonate today. We are surrounded by technological and scientific advances that challenge the limits of human understanding. The quest for power and knowledge seems to have no limits. Artificial intelligence, genetic manipulation, attempts to control consciousness, all of this can be seen as a new version of what the Watchers taught in the past. If Enoch was right, then humanity may be repeating the same mistakes of the past, accepting knowledge without considering the spiritual consequences. And that brings us to a final disturbing question. What happens when this cycle is complete? If Enoch's prophecies are true, then we are fast approaching the moment when the veil will be torn and the real spiritual confrontation will begin. What will we do when that day comes? Are we prepared to face the truth, or will we continue to ignore the signs that are everywhere? The answer to these questions may be hidden, waiting to be discovered. Do you believe in these prophecies? Let us know in the comments. Chapter 6, the lost legacy of Enoch and its connection to other ancient traditions. The accounts in the Book of Enoch do not exist in isolation. In various cultures around the world, we find echoes of this same story, described from different perspectives and with different names. This raises an intriguing question. What if Enoch wasn't just a biblical character, but a fundamental piece of ancient knowledge that transcends time and civilizations? Sumerian tradition tells us of the Anunnakis gods who descended from the heavens and taught human beings how to cultivate, build, and manipulate metals. The Greeks spoke of the Titans, hybrid beings born from the union between gods and mortals, who brought chaos to the world before being imprisoned in Tartarus. Hindu texts mention the Asuras and the Devas, celestial entities who dueled for control of humanity's destiny. The similarity between these myths and the Book of Enoch is disturbing. They all speak of superior beings considered divine who interacted with humans and taught them forbidden knowledge. They all describe a rebellion, an interference in the natural order of things, and a divine punishment that resulted in the destruction of these beings and an attempt to erase their influence on humanity. But if all these stories speak of the same thing, what does that mean? Why would cultures separated by thousands of years and vast oceans tell such similar versions of the same narrative? The most logical and disturbing explanation is that these stories may have a grain of truth. The Book of Enoch may not just be a religious text, but a fragment of an ancestral memory preserved over the centuries, a reminder of events that really happened in the distant past. If this is true, the decision to hide the Book of Enoch was not just an act of theological censorship, but a deliberate attempt to keep this knowledge from the reach of humanity. The Vatican, as guardian of the Christian faith, would have been responsible for ensuring that this story was not widely disseminated, protecting its own narrative and preventing people from questioning the origin of human spirituality. But now, with the resurgence of this text and its growing interest, we are facing a crucial moment. Is humanity finally ready to confront its true history? What does this mean for modern religions and the concept of divinity that we have been taught? If Enoch's teachings are true, then there is much more to our origin and destiny than we ever imagined. And this knowledge may be about to emerge, challenging everything we believe to be real. Chapter 7. The Return of the Vigilantes, a Hidden Threat to Humanity. If the Watchers have been imprisoned, as the Book of Enoch says, then why are there still signs of their influence in the world? Why do the same forbidden ideas keep reappearing at different times in human history? What few realize is that the Watchers' rebellion may not have been completely eradicated. If these beings possessed enough advanced knowledge to teach humans secrets about metallurgy, astronomy, and sorcery, wouldn't they have found ways to preserve their presence even after their downfall? What if the Watchers had never really left throughout history? We have countless accounts of individuals claiming to have received knowledge directly from higher beings. Figures such as Hermes Trismegistus, Nostradamus, and even contemporary scientists who claim to have had inexplicable insights could be echoes of the same influence. If the Watchers do indeed continue to act behind the scenes, their strategy has changed. Instead of presenting themselves as gods, they have started to operate more subtly, infiltrating spheres of power and manipulation. This would explain humanity's sudden technological advance in recent centuries. The Industrial Revolution, the discovery of electricity, global communications, and even the creation of artificial intelligences could all be part of a new plan to transform the world in the interests of invisible entities. But what would be the ultimate goal of this? The Book of Enoch suggests that the destruction of humanity occurred not only because of the corruption of the Nephilim, but because the teachings of the Watchers led to an irreversible state of moral and spiritual decay. We are now at a time in history when the quest for power and knowledge seems to have no limits. Artificial intelligences, genetic modification, research into immortality, all of this can be seen as a modern attempt to attain the same forbidden wisdom that led to the destruction of humanity in the past. If what we are experiencing today is a repeat of what happened before the Great Flood does that mean we are close to another moment of purification? The Book of Enoch itself suggests that the Watchers would be released at the end of time, returning to the world to try to corrupt humanity once again. This would be the great final battle between those who follow the true light and those who surrender to forbidden knowledge. What if we are already living through this war? Many believe that today's world events, the political crises, the moral collapse, the rise of ideologies that promote the dissolution of spiritual values, are signs that the Watchers are already among us, influencing the world without most people realizing it. If this is true, then the Book of Enoch is not just a record of the past, but a warning for the future. It warns us about the dangers of blindly following progress without considering its spiritual implications. It tells us that history may be repeating itself, and that humanity is about to face once again the same judgment it once faced. And now the most disturbing question of all: who among us is ready to recognize this return? And who will be fooled by this illusion? Because if the Watchers really have returned, it means that humanity is about to enter its darkest phase, and those who aren't prepared to see the truth could become victims of a plan that began thousands of years ago, but is only now reaching its final conclusion. Now that you know the forbidden secrets of the Book of Enoch, the question remains: what else has been kept from humanity? Could these revelations have the power to rewrite history? I want to know what you think. Leave a comment and tell me, do you think this knowledge was silenced on purpose? And don't forget to like, subscribe, and activate the bell. See you in the next mystery.